In the sport of boxing, there may be no commodity more precious than opportunity. And for fighters with authentic ambition, the prescription is simple. Take the best fights you can get. Accept the challenges that offer the harshest tests. So here are two men committed to a collision, complications and all. Here are two fighters making the most of opportunity. This is the road to Jacob's Derevyanchenko.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link down below for those who want to watch this. But if you don't know, it's on YouTube on the HBO boxing page. So Road 2 is a shorter version of HBO 24/7. So basically it's HBO 24/7 Road 2 Jacobs versus Derevyanchenko. They're usually about between 10 to 15 minutes or so long, where HBO 24/7 is usually, used to be about 3 episodes and about, 18 to 28 minutes or so long. Anyway, I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live, 6:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, October the 17th, 2018. And this fight is next week in the Hulu Theater, what fans know as the Small Room in Madison Square Garden, October the 27th. So today, HBO released onto social media this episode. I'm going to post a link right down below. But basically, the storyline of this fight is these are two friends, two colleagues. They work together. They share the same team. We're going to get into that later on in the video, fighting for the title that was stripped from Gennady Golovkin because he didn't fight Derevyanchenko for multiple reasons. But as we get closer to the fight, we're going to delve a little deeper into that. All right? So I'm actually really, really interested in the women's boxing fight with Heather Hardy and Shelly Vincent. That's actually the main reason why I'm going. No disrespect to Danny Jacobs and Derevyanchenko, but also a lot of people thought that this possibly could have been the last HBO card as well. But now we know that HBO has picked up Dimitri Bivol versus Jean Pascal, of all people. They love him. They love Jean Pascal. And they may be picking up a Romulan Chocolatito Gonzalez fight in January or February or so. So it shows that there's still some money there for boxing, but they're not just investing in boxing. You dig me? So you're going to have Alberto Machado, WBA world champion, taking on, I don't even know who this Evans guy is. I'm sure I've seen him before. I got to look that up. Machado should have been the WBA super world champion. In fact, there should be only one champion, but that's a whole different video. So what we're going to do real quick is go take a look at the rankings and break down the division for you, because it's important to know that Canelo has now signed. Damn it, my bad, wrong screen. He's now signed with the Zone, not with Matchroom Promotions, not with Eddie Hearn, but with the Zone. So what that means, hold on, I keep losing my mouse cursor. So basically, what that means is that anybody who wants to fight Canelo for the next 5 years has to go over to the Zone. If you don't know, Danny Jacobs is a Matchroom Eddie Hearn fighter. So he's in the running to get Canelo if he beats Sergey Derevyanchenko next week. And vice versa. Even though Sergey Derevyanchenko is an Al Heyman fighter, they're both Al Heyman fighters, but nonetheless, Derevyanchenko, if he wins, he has flexibility too. We're going to talk about Derevyanchenko as a fighter. I did in my previous video, but we're going to talk more about him as a fighter in my Fight Week video, likely on Monday, because I'm going to get that out of the way since I got to go to New York next week. Andre this weekend is taking on Walter Katandakwa on the Zone. It's an interesting card, not necessarily a really intriguing fight, because it was supposed to be Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders has been stripped. We don't know what Golovkin's going to be doing, but now that Canelo's over on the zone, you can expect for him to follow, or at least by a fight-by-fight deal. So you can imagine that the zone is probably going to be throwing a lot of money. Listen, they have a lot of fucking money. They're not just in boxing and MMA here in the States. They're all over the world with like NBA and NFL and other markets, obviously, territories. You got David Lemieux. He's with Golden Boy, so he's going to be on the zone. You got Rob Brandt versus Murata. I believe that Golovkin is going to take on Ryota Murata. I got a video coming out on that tomorrow morning, bright and early. That fight's taking place on ESPN Plus, if I'm correct. Not regular ESPN, but ESPN Plus. But I'm going to be doing a video on that. That's for the WBA world title. I believe that Golovkin may fight the winner of that. David Lemieux is the WBA mandatory, by the way. Jamal Charlo is the WBC interim and mandatory also. And if he wants Canelo, he's got to go over to the zone. So in regards to Danny Jacobs, very marketable. His last two fights lost him a bit of momentum, but nonetheless, he's been active for the most part, which, you can, like, there was that layoff, that was a little too long after the Golovkin fight, but he had a big shakeup in a network and management, not management, but promotion when he signed with Eddie Hearn. 34-2 with 29 KOs, big fights against, obviously, coming up against Derevyanchenko. Solusky was a tougher fight than he thought it was going to be. Luis Arias, he just completely dominated him. And then that big fight where even though he lost the fight, his appeal and marketability went up sky high. The Sergio Mora fight, PBC on Spike. Peter Quillen, very big fight at the time. The first Sergio Mora fight was like, okay, finally he's really, really stepping up in competition. Remember what happened with Dimitri Pirog. We haven't seen him since Nobuhiro Ishida. He had something going on with his back. But now being, getting close to 39 years old, I think that, it's done for him. Here's Derevyanchenko. His fights, you can actually, he's one of those fighters, kind of like Alexander Usyk, where you can actually sit through all of his fights in like a couple hour sitting. You see what I'm saying? Because he's been knocking everybody out, and he's only got 12 fights. He comes off as a little bit robotic to me. Of course, he's from that Ukrainian school, guys like Lomachenko and Usyk are from, but he's not, as good as those guys, in my opinion. He's more of, they call him the technician. For example, let's go move on a little bit and talk about one of the dynamic I was talking about earlier. Right here. We'll start right here.
Jacobs has elected to train in San Carlos, California, a suburb in the Bay Area. He's there with his longtime trainer, Andre Rozier. Derevyanchenko, meanwhile, has set up his camp in the mountains of Colorado Springs, training with his coach, Gary Stark Sr., who he's worked with since he came to Brooklyn from Ukraine in 2014. And it's the shared history of these four men that makes the bout so intriguing, starting with the trainers' longtime partnership.
Когда я приехал в Соединенные Штаты, я сразу познакомился с...
Hold up, I don't want... Okay, all right. I'll let y'all watch. I'll let y'all listen to this. This is important. Since it's only 13 minutes long, we only can use like 3 minutes of footage, maybe less. So we'll let you listen to this part because it's subtitles.
Partnership.
Когда я приехал в Соединенные Штаты, я сразу познакомился меня познакомили с Эндрю Розье и с Гэри Старком. И, в принципе, я начал работать с обоими.
He was very quiet. He just wore a smile. He was a fantastic kid. Did whatever you asked him to do. And we started working with him with Gary.
Me and Dre, we split up the training with this kid. It's funny because me and Andre, we don't look at it like who's the head trainer. We're both equally with all our guys.
Rozier and Stark have been working together for almost 20 years. And while Derevyanchenko is relatively new to their shared stable, there are some fighters who go back further, like Jacobs. who's been
So basically, let me tell you, Andre Rozier right here has been the trainer of Danny Jacobs since he was a very, very young man. Derevyanchenko is somewhat new, so therefore, since he was training them both, and both fighters said, listen, that IBF belt is free. I understand we're in the same camp, but we got to take this fight. So Rozier chose Danny Jacobs, and I forgot the other guy's name. What's his name right here?
Me and Dre, we split up the training with this kid. It's funny because me and Andre, we don't look at it like who's the head trainer. We're both equally with all our guys.
Rozier and Stark have been working together for almost 20 years. And while Derevyanchenko is relatively new to their shared stable, there are some fighters who go back further.
You see, so, Rozier naturally went with Danny Jacobs. But it's that conflict of interest there where, let me see, is this it?
Family to fight your family. But
While Stark went, so the trainers had to split up the fighters.
about 40, 50 sticks.
Rozier stayed with his longtime protege,
There you go.
while Stark went with Derevyanchenko.
When I train my guys, they're like family to me. You don't want your family to fight your family. But they wanted this, and it's an opportunity that they couldn't say no to, either one of them.
See Andrade out there?
When it came down to the nitty-gritty, I had to side with Danny because I've been with him since the beginning.
Я всегда знал, как бы, что Эндрю Розьер как бы останется с Дэниел Джейкобсом. Я к этому как бы нормально отношусь. И...
Right now, it's all about business.
So, he's saying that, he cool with it because he knew it was going to, he knew like, all right, well, if it comes up, it's going to happen. For example, Danny Jacobs had to fight another friend of his in Peter Quillin. Knocked him silly. Let's go look at the card, though. I hate going to New York. I'm not going to lie. But it is what it is. We're going to have Danny Jacobs versus Derevyanchenko, obviously. Machado versus Yondale Evans. I got to do some research on that. I've heard of him. What have I seen him fight before? I seen him fight for Tuna, get knocked out. That's who it was. Heather Hardy versus Shelly Vincent. I did a video on that. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, we good. I'm going to put the link right down below in the description box to this, so you can watch it also with the ticket information. I believe I have all that stuff. TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe. Oh, also, we really need help in the New York area. We got a bit of a promotion when it comes to like boxing media per se. So we need some help in the New York area. I had some help out there before, but then I got sick, earlier this year. Well, if you don't know, I got sick earlier this year. So that's setting me back like several months. But now, we back on the saddle. So contact me. The information is right down below in the description box. Obviously, you want to have a pretty open schedule, because what we need from you is, if you want to go to these fights and work these fights, obviously there's a certain amount of professionalism you're going to have. We're going to have to talk. And also, you're going to have to get it to at least one of the media events, whether it's the media workout or the press conference or the weigh-in. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.